Police have removed the remains of at least 189 people from a Colorado funeral home after responding to a report of a, quote, abhorrent smell. Earlier this month, police initially said they found 115 decaying and improperly stored bodies at the Return to Nature funeral home. That number has been revised as police continue to identify bodies. The remains were removed from the funeral home on October 13th. Neighbors in the area said they had noticed the foul smell for days. Police said they will notify family members in the coming days once all the remains are identified. State regulators have suspended the funeral home's license.
Investigators from the Fremont County Sheriff's Office and the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agency discovered over 115 deceased bodies stored in the Return to Nature funeral home. Without providing too much detail to avoid further victimizing these families, the area of the funeral home where the bodies were improperly stored was horrific. To give you an idea of the scope of this search, the area to be searched is over 2,500 square feet. After the scene is made safe and the appropriate personal protective equipment is issued, dignified treatment of the deceased is our next priority.
Welcome back. We got some more true crime news, and whenever I'm reporting on all the different true crime stories and stuff that hit the news cycle, right, I'm always saying this is so brutal, disgusting, disturbing, evil, etc. But what we have here is just so messed up in just a way I don't even know exactly how to characterize it, man. Everyone out there, you hit the comments and share your thoughts as always. That's what we do over here. We cover the news. We want to hear from the people in that comment section. So make sure you do just that and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for updates. But can you believe this? You know, like it's all going to happen to us all someday. We die. Our time on this earth is up. And when we cross over spiritually based on your beliefs and all that, everyone has their own personal beliefs. There's really no way around it. When it comes to your final arrangements on this earth, someone licensed has to come and take you away. You know, I remember when my father-in-law passed away. He passed away at home on hospice, and we called the funeral home, and they came and picked him up, and they did a great job for the most part. You know, we were able to go pay our respects to him, and he was cremated and everything like that. But at the end of the day, you don't really know the people that are doing this, and this is not to just call into question all funeral homes or anything like that. There's many out there that have been operating for generations within the same family, and, you know, I'm sure have nothing but good reports on their report card, metaphorically speaking. But these people right here, I mean, so evil, just desecrating people's remains, and that can just never be undone. And it's like you heard what a police officer was saying there. Thank God someone called in this horrific smell. That's why always, if you see something doesn't seem right, make sure you report it to the right person. Because if someone hadn't called this in, and I don't know if it was numerous people that did, as you heard, it was the smell that people were calling about, that horrific smell of death. If you've ever smelled it, it's terrible. It's like what nightmares are made of. You cannot mistake it for anything else. And this happened back in November of 2023. You see the numbers fluctuating from the news from in the hundreds up to 200 of corpses that were just not properly stored, not properly being taken care of. And it's just like, what is wrong with you? How could you disrespect all these people? Like, you are going to burn in hell for sure. Now, when they showed up and, you know, investigated this and it was all said and done, there were 190 charges that they got hit with for corpse abuse. Now, what's so messed up about that is actually only a misdemeanor. In Colorado, where this happened, I believe corpse abuse can only get you hit with 6 months in county jail maximum. Now, when I was looking at this, I was like, well, I think the judge could say, as this is a couple, you see the pictures of these two evil sacks of garbage, John and Carrie Halford, I believe is how you say their name. They had the Return to Nature funeral home. And you hear that they try to sound all nice and peaceful. Return to nature. Your body is one. back with the earth and all this, and they just got people sitting and rotting. And just as a side conversation, everyone out there, jump in the comments. I'm just curious to know. I've always been terrified when I pass away. I don't want to be buried. I know I'm going to be deceased and not in my body, but I do not want to be buried in the earth. That is not for me. No, sir. I guess I have no other choice than to get cremated. But for some reason, I don't know why, if anyone else feels like this also, I want a couple days to pass before I'm cremated, I guess, for my soul to fully leave my body or something like that. I don't know. I just want a couple days to pass. There was a point in time, too, I was thinking, is messed up as this sounds, that I would just want to put in the woods somewhere. I mean, obviously, you can't do that, though. That's ludicrous. They can't have people just decomposing in the middle of nowhere. But, you know, it was so wild. I saw on a video once, there was this school that I guess it was like for forensics, where students study maybe to be detectives or something like that. And they have this thing called the death farm, where people who donated their bodies to science can be put in this property that is a part of this university for like the hands-on, I guess, lab part of the learning process. And there's people that actually, this isn't an enclosed, like it's outside, but you can't just go there, where if, like, you know, this person was sitting in a car, or this, like the process of decomposition or whatever, to help people learn forensics or whatever, you know. But just for anyone out there, if you do want to donate your body to science, that is something you have to have set up, like specifically within good time before you're passing. I know that at least in New York State, where I lived, my father-in-law wanted to donate his body to science. And when he was at like the hospital and death was getting closer and stuff like that, before he ended up on hospice, he said, I'm donating my body to science. And they were like, hey, it don't work like that, where you just like, hey, a scientist comes, picks you up. You have to find the specific place and make all those arrangements yourself, you know, for whatever you want when you pass away. You know what I'm saying? It's not something we all like to think about, but have that all set up, ready to go with your final wishes and legally put into place, where it will be put into play when you pass away. But returning back to speaking about this couple, I guess a judge could have hit them maybe with 190 counts with the corpse abuse, six months on each, and run them consecutive. I don't know if that would be able to happen when it comes to sentencing or whatever, how it would all work out. You know what I'm saying? And if attorney would be able to get it squashed and get it, you know, broke down to a couple county years or something like that, all being on the same docket for one case. As what's pretty messed up about this all, more or less, is that desecrating a human body that's deceased in a situation like this is only a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's just like people hurting animals. It's a horrific, terrible thing, but it's only a misdemeanor most places. Some places have changed animal cruelty laws, but it's just so fucked up that that's the way that it goes down in the legal books. You know, it's like an unspeakable act, but I guess because the person is deceased by the eyes of the law doesn't look at that as a human being anymore. Like, can you believe that? It's absolutely bonkers. You know, that's why there's always a clear-cut difference between what is legal by the law books or what is moral and whatnot. You know what I mean? It's two totally different conversations. But the big update here now, these people are going to pay big time and are going to get slayed with some prison time, is they've been rearrested and hit with new charges. And this new update, you know, what the investigation revealed about this business, about this sham, fucked up, evil scam racket that this couple had going on, it tells you even more what the deal really was with these 6 sacks of ish. They originally fled out of the area. They lost their license, of course, right away when this happened. But they were re-arrested, picked up again, and the prosecutors were pushing for them to be remanded without bail. But It didn't say if the judge went along with that. If I don't believe they were able to bail out. I think they're back in custody, but they were like, these people are flight risk. They tried to run before. But check this out. There was $130,000 within with money that they ran up that amount, charging people and collected the money for funerals and cremations that never happened. So can you believe that? Like, I wonder if a lot of these people were just given like BS urns that didn't have anything in it, or just ashes for something else, or were they burying caskets at funeral services that didn't even have people in it, or they just postponed it. Like, I just don't understand how they were able to go on doing this. Now, obviously, these charges are still pending and everything like that, but the evidence is overwhelming. They also received $800,000 in relief money when the sickness was going on a few years back. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. We got to be careful how we reference it when we make content on this platform. But they went to the federal government and got $800,000 worth of money and blew it all on just their own personal stuff, tuition for their kids, personal items, jewelry and everything. It's all so messed up. There's another case going on right now. I don't know if you guys saw about, totally unrelated to this, but that 60 Days In show, one of those sheriffs that ran one of those county jails was stealing all the money and using it for a bunch of personal stuff. And he also paid tuition for his child and had his family decked out in the finest attire, shoes, and jewelry. Like, it's just crazy the things people do. Like, they're not going to get caught. They also got a bunch of small business loans and everything like that. And at the end of the day, with all these charges that I believe are indeed federal charges, they're looking at 20 years in prison as the maximum. As now they have 190 charges of corpse abuse, 4 counts of money laundering, and 50 counts of forgery. So they were just running on a full out racket, charging and collecting people for, things that never happened, getting business loans and probably defaulting on them and keeping all the money. And of course, that federal relief money that they got, like, it was a straight up criminal conspiracy. It's so wild to think about that someone out there got licensed and ran this funeral home. I don't know how long they had this business for, or what the case was, but it's just so disturbing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the protocols are about funeral homes, but they should be checked in on a lot and make sure everything is up to code. I mean, you think that they would be, but the fact that this business was able to go about doing what they were doing for so long is just blowing my mind. Like, I don't know if they kept all the bodies at one place, and then when people would come in to make arrangements, they had a whole different facility that they would have the people go to, or what. But we're talking about some evil, sick monsters, this couple. And with all these new charges, as I was stating before, with all those misdemeanors, the way an attorney would possibly be able to get some kind of deal struck or something like that, that would avoid them from doing a whole bunch of time. They're federally flucked now, and for sure going to do some serious time, as they're looking at 20 on the maximum end of it. So it was very good that the authorities kept the investigation going. And, because also, like we said, they just found out so much more that was going on, just a full blown corpse racket at the end of the day, if you really want to call it what it is. And there's just so many victims here. And unfortunately, what happens in situations like this, all these families should sue. And I mean, they can sue and get back their money and additional money and pain and suffering. But at the end of the day, these people aren't going to have any money anymore. That's what unfortunately happens so often when people sue civilly. Anyone can sue for anything. Hell, you can even win a judgment, but collecting the money is a whole nother ball game. But what monsters, man. Like, everyone comment and share your thoughts. Your thoughts about this case, if you've ever heard of anything bad like this going on in real life, as I don't want to say this stuff happens a lot more than you would think, but there is more situations where people's final wishes just are not respected like they're supposed to be. And it's just downright disgusting, man. You know, like funerals and things like that, really, to me, should be something that doesn't even cost money. It's messed up that death is a business, but hey, it's America. It's a great country to live in a lot of ways. But anywhere there's a way to make a buck, that buck is going to be made. People are going to scam. Prices are going to run up. And, you know, it's a dollar over morals, a dollar over everything. But to close this out, I wanted to share another situation. This is in Brooklyn, where a family was violated in a horrible way, and a young woman who passed away was violated when her family was trying to see her be respected and honored before she was buried or cremated. And this is another messed up one, man. So sick and twisted. But here comes that clip. Subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more true crime content. Look forward to talking to you guys in the comments.
Her face looked like it was caved in. Actually, it looked like it was burnt. One eye had a maggot coming out of it.
Too graphic to be shown, Chantel Jean described the last image of her 37-year-old daughter, Regina Christoph.
The last image I saw was a monster in the casket.
What was supposed to be a celebration of life on July 9th
It wasn't no celebration of anything.
left more pain and suffering. Jean and her family are now suing the McManus Funeral Home in Brooklyn. Jean says after her daughter died in her sleep on June 24th, the funeral home failed to keep Christoph's remains in good condition and failed to perform the services it was paid to do when it received Christoph's body on June 28th from the medical examiner's office. Jean says she didn't see her daughter's body for 2 weeks.